Good evening to all of the ladies of Not Your Average Church Girl, all of our supporters, all of our official members. I am the leading lady of this ministry, Leading Lady Lockridge, and I'm excited for you all to be here on tonight. Typically, every Tuesday, we have different women of our ministry come, and we call it Transparent Tuesday. And so we have different members come and testify and share about the goodness of the Lord, just different things that they've been through so that other women in the world can connect and learn more about Jesus. So over the past 2 weeks, we've had different people and we've kind of switched a few things around. So every Tuesday, it's called Table of Transparency. And it allows us to touch base with other people who are able to pour into us and share their story. And a lot of them are authors. A lot of them have their own businesses. And I'm excited because I would have never known like 2 years ago, I'd be interviewing Elizabeth, how we met. It's just interesting how God brings people together. And for me, it teaches me you never know someone's story until you actually start talking to them. So tonight, I would like to introduce Miss Elizabeth, and thank you for being here.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Man, I'm excited for you to be here. And so I just want to first start off by showing you all her book, and it is called No Longer Silent. I have started it, and I told her just the preface was just heavy. And it's real. So if you have dealt with any sexual abuse, trauma, Elizabeth is someone who you definitely need to speak to. You need to purchase her book. And I believe your ministry is Speak Out, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, Speak Out on Facebook. And also add her on Instagram as well. She puts a lot of empowering testimonies and she's real and transparent. And for those of you who know about Not Your Average Church Girl, our motto is transparency, accountability, and love. So I know you have a lot to share and a lot to say, okay? A lot to share and a lot to say. And so the first question I just want to ask you off the bat. I am a teacher. I've worked with kids who have been sexually abused. They've went through a lot of trauma. I'm not a parent. I am a godparent. I'm an aunt. So my first question I wanted to ask you is, going through your experiences, how can an adult may have not went through these traumas, how can they pick up when something's off? Or how can a parent guard their child? If you have a daughter, how do you guard your children from certain experiences occurring in their lives?
Interesting enough, my daughter and I had this conversation today. I have a 6-year-old daughter, Kamea. She's pretty amazing. She may or may not come and jump on.
That's fine.
She does what she wants. But she was outside today. We have like a kind of like a square in the middle of our apartment complex. And she usually just takes her scooter within the inside of it, but she decided to go off to the side today and I couldn't see her. Well, there's this lady who immediately got up and went after her. She just probably went in the same direction, but my immediate response was like, what is she doing? Where's my child? What's going on? So in my head, I'm thinking all these thoughts. I'm like, Kamea hasn't come around the corner yet. What's going on? Like, what's going to happen? I hope Kamea streams, blah, blah, blah. So like all these things in my head. So Kamea comes back like 10 or 15 minutes later. And I was telling her, you went behind the building, I couldn't see you. And I said, well, what happened if you yelled and I couldn't hear you? You need to say where I can see you. And then she's like, Mom, if that lady tried to touch me, I would just scream. And she's like, I would yell and I would hit. But she knows that because I've trained her for that. The things that as parents, we want to say cookie and pee and
we sugarcoat
cute little words. No, boo-boo. Don't touch my breasts.
Right.
Your vagina is not a place that nobody touches. Your butt, nothing. And back when we were younger, it was like the bathing suit area was non-touchable. But now people are groping where the hand on the shoulder is uncomfortable.
Right.
I have a friend I'm really close to that her and Kamea have a great connection, but she kissed Kamea in a way that Kamea felt uncomfortable. And so she was like, Mom, I feel uncomfortable with how she did that. And I said, well, you need to let her know that so giving Kamea that room to communicate. So I think that's the biggest thing is being someone that's open and transparent about it, talk about it. She comes to me about, and people probably say I go too far, but if she asks me where baby come from, I'm not going to give her this foot sauce. I'm gonna let her know, like, this is what happens. And obviously she's 6, so I'm not going to go into detail, but at the development level that she's at, I'm gonna let her know, because I would rather tell her than she'd be in the back of the bus and someone give her a porn magazine, or I mean, show her porn on
a phone or
their
something. Yeah,
phone. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah, to learn. So I would rather be that first teacher, and so I take that responsibility. I'm fully open. Honestly, right now she's walking around with a pair of underwear. Like, just be free and open about it, you know. And she'll
Right.
say, "My vagina hurts." And we had a conversation earlier too. She's like, "No one touches my vagina. Daddy doesn't touch it. Mom doesn't touch it. Grandma doesn't touch it. These are the people I can talk to if it does happen." And it's also being real with your child, whether it's yours or not, that you're the person that they can go to, and if you're the person touching them, that they're okay to go to someone else. Like, and I'm not going to touch my child.
Right.
However, I need to let her know that mom included, mom, dad, grandma,
Right.
cousin, because those are the people who are doing it. It's not strangers who are going after them that are holding her. If we think about it, we were at a cousin's house, we were downstairs playing in the basement, you know, things with my brother got it, like, you know what I'm saying? It was those close-knit relationships. And so it's focusing on those as well as the strangers that are outside.
Thank you. That was real. And I couldn't agree with you more, because I work with, again, and I can't go into detail, obviously, but I work with some kids who have went through serious sexual trauma. And just in general, the past 8 years I've been a teacher. And I wish that they had a mom like you, or a foster parent like you, that was just straight up and said, this is what it is. And if this happens, these are the people you can talk to. So kudos to you for teaching her at a young age. So for those of you who may have just joined, welcome to Not Your Average Church Girl. We are here with Miss Elizabeth. She is the author of No Longer Silent, so make sure you get her book. And so now I'm just going to have you share your story. I've read some of the book. I haven't finished it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You experienced some sexual trauma even at 3, correct?
Correct.
At 3 years old. So tell us your story and how you overcame.
So, like you said, I was originally molested when I was 3. And by the age of 7, I thought sex was normal. I didn't know that it was something you're not supposed to do, or, you know, something bad at all. I just thought it was as long as breathing. And then by the age of 11, I'm sexually active. Mom puts me on birth control at 13. We don't really have the conversation, like the sex conversation. Like I said, I'm so open with my daughter. Mom and I didn't have that conversation. We never had that conversation. You know, I mean, in 5th grade, they share you that story that freaks you out about, like,
yeah. Or they show you the video in school.
Yeah. And so I kind of freaked out about it. When I was 11, my mom did have me watch my cousin give birth, which freaked me out too. So it just freaked me out of not having kids. But I mean, I can have sex and not have kids. So I was like, I gotta use protection. I'm good. So 13, I'm on birth control. By the age of 21, I'm in a full sex addiction. Like, I have men coming in and out of the house. They putting it down. I mean, some was gross. I let them go. I had some regulars, some paid, some didn't. I was just fully just about that life. I did get saved at 13. And so during that time, not only did I get saved, but there was also the height of my abuse. So then I'm getting molested by a stepdad. I'm being raped by the community drug dealer. And so I feel that if God didn't come into my life at that time, I would be a lot worse than I was. So at 21, I was in ministry, and I remember my pastor dad telling me, if you don't get this right, your life right, you can't do ministry with me anymore. And I was taken away when I was 15. Mom didn't like me. My siblings blamed me for being taken away. And this was the only relationship that I ever felt genuine love. And so for my pastor dad to say, you can't do ministry with me, felt like you cannot be a part of what I'm doing. And I was like, I can't have that happen. Like, I need them. And so from that, I did get a little worse in my addiction. At the same time, I sought out a therapist. I sought out help. And it just became this battle of like, man, I love sex and I love God. And like, how do I do this thing? You know, and the Bible says, you know, you can't be timid. You can't be walking on the fence. So like, I gotta pick a side. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick the sex side, because I've been on the God side and I still struggled. So why not just do the sex thing? So I did the sex thing, ended up finding my ex-husband on back then I think it was called Black Planet.
I remember that.
And so met my ex-husband. We were married for 5 years. He ended up being very emotionally and mentally abusive. The confident woman that I thought I was, he like squashed that down. I became this real timid, insecure woman. We had my daughter 2 years in, and she's amazing. She's beautiful. We did get divorced 5 years later. It was a very traumatic experience. I ended up going back to the men during that divorce process. And it kind of got a little bit worse then. During that part, we've been divorced for 3 years. And so at that point, I was like, God put this child in my life for a reason. And in order for her to be the woman that God called her to be, I have to be the woman that God called me to be. Because there's a reason why that's her dad. It's the reason why I'm her mom. And between the two of us, she's going to become what God called her. And so I went to the Potter House of Denver, where they had counseling. So I got into every counseling group, every leadership group, and to try to save my marriage. My ex-husband left us in Grand Junction. We reconciled. He then filed for divorce less than 6 months later. It's been an up and downhill battle. He is a narcissist, but again, I'm able to be who God's called me to be, and I've regained strength just by getting back into who I am, who God said I was. I have amazing mentors. Shout out to Patrick P and his wife Gwendolyn. They were amazing during that time frame. My pastor dad and my pastor mom. I've always had like intermittent conversations with them, and what I love about them is that they said, despite of who you were, we knew your heart. And so when my pastor mom is one of very few words, but when she said that, it made me love them even more, because I was a bad, like, growing up in abuse and a single parent home, and people not believing me and all of that stuff. I became this mean, mad, angry kid that people misunderstood, because I was just this Black ghetto girl from the projects that, she's just mean. That's who she is,
Right.
But my pastor parents took me in when no one else did. They loved me when no one else did. And so it's because of that love, them seeing my heart, that I was able to, now I'm an entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker, amazing mom to my daughter. We have a crazy, amazing relationship. And it was because of those pillars in my life that I was able to get to this point that I am in my gift and calling, performing what God's called me to do, and I'm doing it with victory and grace.
I love it. So for those women who may be in ministry, maybe in the church or not, they just struggle in the area of lust, like they just struggle. Specifically the women who have been in a relationship with someone, like you said, I stay with this person and stay in sin, or do I, keep doing what I'm doing, or do I, make a better choice? What is your advice to them to overcome that situation and or lust?
God. Like it's simple and it may seem cliche, but it's true. Is what does God's word say? And let's go back to Adam and Eve, right? So when Eve was tempted with the apple, what's the first question that he asked? Did God really say? And so when we get to now 2,000 years later, and we're confronted, and we're in that place of no return, we're making out, we goosing, whatever, and we're sitting there, we want to take off our clothes, and what's in the back of our head? Did God really say we can't have sex? Did he really say we can't do this, right? Yeah, he really said it, boo-boo. And even in that point, you can get up and be like, you know what, I can't do it. And if he can't respect you enough, boo-boo, he ain't the one. Get the step in.
Right. No, I agree with you. And in our ministry, I often, when we talk about our principles, our second one is sweet fornication. And so we talked about Potiphar's wife and Joseph, and we talk about that story. And we specifically say flee fornication, because that requires an action for you to do the opposite thing of what your flesh wants. And so I know you know the story. When he goes into the house and no one is there, the Lord showed me through revelation that we have to be accountable. Like, we need accountability in this area. And so I think that one thing, especially in the church, if we struggle with this, if you know what sex is, then it's going to be challenging to abstain, right? And so the question is, do you have accountability? Are you open enough to say, yo, Elizabeth, I'm struggling. Can you hold me accountable? And I think that's
Yes.
something that really needs to be talked about, because like you said, with the pornography, with the masturbation, all of that, if you've been exposed to that at such a young age, it still carries with you. It
So
does.
and I don't know if you guys have ever watched the movie The Beautiful Mind. He had this
I never seen it.
The main character had he was a very intelligent scientist,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a professor. I haven't seen it in a few years, but he was a professor at a college. He was very smart, and then one day, this guy comes up to him and challenges him, and he goes off like for half the movie in this fictional, but his mind is so brilliant that he's doing all these math, whatever, equations that are amazing. And he comes to the end of the story where he now knows that it was fictional. He understands it. He's gotten there. He went through all this stuff. And someone asked him, do you still struggle with it? And he looks over, and the guy and the little girl sitting there, he said, yes, but I choose to ignore it. So the thing is that I unfortunately am always going to struggle with the lust and the attraction of sex. If I see a fine looking, dark skinned black man,
come on, dark skin,
child, let me tell you, I will stop and stare at. But that's what I need to tell myself. Go back to scripture. Think of these things. And so if I think of myself, if I think of myself in this highly place, and do I want to see my daughter watch me drool over that? No, I don't want to. And so what makes accountability is I have 3 people that I have one that's super blunt. And if I call her, she'll be like, get over yourself, stop. No, we're not going to do it. Not today. No. I have another accountability person that she'll pray. She's a prayer warrior. And so she's like, let's pray right now that we're going to rebuke it. I mean, both of them are prayer warriors, but that's what her specific thing is like.
Right,
let's prophesy me, this is my vision for you. And the other one, she's like, let's physically move you. I'm going to come pick you up. We're going to go hiking. We're going to go do something to physically get you out of that moment. Because I'm an introvert. I love this whole social distancing, being at home, being by child. Let me tell you, I don't grown so much as virtual information, building myself. But at the same time, the isolation can paralyze you into your thinking about your abuse and what happened and these thoughts and, oh, I'm by myself and let me invite so-and-so. I mean, you got Meet Me and whatever, Craigslist and all. It's easy to bring, and we don't gotta have a relationship. Come in, do your thing.
Just be real nonchalant.
Exactly. And so I have to be real with myself, and I have to be real with God so I can be real with others. And so my accountability people, if I call them in the middle of the night, they already know. I need to get on Elizabeth, or they'll call me too. How you doing? What's going on? Haven't heard from you. I know if I haven't heard from you, such and such is going on. Like, what's going on? And so you have to have those. You have to. It's crucial and it's necessary. I don't want to get up to, I imagine myself in a crowd full of thousands of women, and I'm preaching, I'm sharing my story. I don't want to be at that moment and walk away and they say the next day and the headlines are like, she slept with so-and-so, she had X and Y partners, and no one knew. No, child. Everybody gonna know my business.
Everybody. You're not gonna pull, you ain't gonna pull my card. I already know my card.
For real. No, child. You're not gonna catch not gonna catch anything.
I love it. So, is there anything that's on your heart that you want to share to all of the women that are watching, to all the women who watch the replay? Because I don't want to spoil the book. If you haven't got it, you need to, and they can get it through you personally, right?
Correct. Yep, they can get through me personally. I do have a website now, so elizabethbernice.com. You're able to purchase the book directly through me there as well.
Okay. So if there's anything that you want to share that's burning on your heart to any of the women who are watching or who watch the replay, the floor is yours.
You know what? I want to say that the battle between our sexuality, God gave it to us. Like it's who we are. And so we have to accept it. The more that I ran away from sex is not me, I can't do this, is that it is a part of who I am. It's a part of my makeup. It's the first commandment that God gave us. He said, be fruitful and multiply. And how are you going to do that without having sex? So you have to accept that you are a sexual being. However, that does not mean that you go parade yourself around to men because you are accepting your God-given body.
Right.
That no, boo boo, no, it's yours. I was sharing with my daughter. Could I was in Bible college and we went to Katrina right after Katrina we went to Louisiana. And we saw all the damage that was there. And my daughter was like, the water was that high. And I'm like, that high. When water is uncontained, it does so much damage. And it takes we're still repairing Louisiana from Katrina. We're still repairing Haiti. We're still repairing Puerto Rico where this water damage occurred. I live in Colorado, and Colorado has a lot of dams, and our dams are created to give energy to other cities and other places. When our sexuality is uncontained, we're like Katrina or a hurricane, and we come in and we swoop in, and not only is it affecting our lives, we're damaging every life that we touch on this spiral going crazy. But if we contain ourselves and wait until marriage where we're able to release that power, we're gonna give energy to so much. We're gonna have so much power if we wait until that moment that God created it to be. So that is what I would say to women is be that powerhouse and store up that energy. I realize that my sexual energy is now used for other things. Right. And so my lives are more powerful. My relationship with my daughter is more because that energy is not sucked up in I need the next guy, I need the next guy, I need the next guy. It's caught up in, man, how can I fulfill the need of my daughter? How can I fulfill the need of abused women? How can I be ventured to that? And my execution level is just off the chain.
Right. Boom, drops mic.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so very much for joining us on tonight. I knew that I had brought you to me, and he said, make sure you ask her. And I asked, and you said yes willingly. I want to say thank you so much for just sharing your testimony, and I pray that other people will support your book. And you need to tell me your Cash App so I can drop it in the comments.
So it is at It's Elizabeth. So ITS Elizabeth BBE. So it's Elizabeth B.
Got you. Okay. You mean money sign?
Money sign.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Thought you said ad.
Yes.
Got you.
Money sign. It's Elizabeth B. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So I'm gonna drop that in the comments. Again, make sure that you support her. If you need a mentor, if you need help in this area, she is going to be that person that can support you and also tell you about other mentors and just other resources where you can connect. I hope that you have enjoyed this session. Every Tuesday, as much as we can, we will continue to come here and just have transparent dialogue. We need to be real. We need to get our souls in order, our lives in order. We can't do that if we're not real. And so as you can see, Elizabeth is real. She's going to tell you the real deal. And we appreciate you for that. So to all of our followers, thank you for joining us on tonight. And I always close out with saying, when God tells you to do something, do it. And when you do it, he will provide the way. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you to our followers for watching.
Bye.
Have a good night.